Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to another episode of the Dirty Birds and Brews podcast presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Kevin Knight, at Falcoholic Kevin, joined by a longtime contributor, used to be a fellow SB Nation person who was also affected by the podcast purge, Rob Guerrera at Stats on Fire. Happy to have you back on, Rob, still going strong with the 49ers Gold Standard podcast. Rob, it's been too long, and we're Falcons and 49ers who used to play all the time. It's been a minute since these two teams have faced each other. Happy to have you back on the show. How have you been?
Thank you. Survive the snap, as they say.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's been a little bit of an adventure. I'm glad that you've weathered the storm and we didn't lose a fantastic 49ers program in the process. And I feel the same way about my situation. So we adapt, we evolve, and it seems like that's what the 49ers, have had to do this season as well. This is a team that has been absolutely ravaged once again by injury. There's questions about who's even going to be able to start at quarterback this week. There's a lot going on. How are things on the surface level in San Francisco? Because the record is still, you guys are very much above water, 4-2, not a catastrophe yet, but it seems like the hits keep piling up.
Terrible is how it's going. It's such a weird situation. It's like, well, we had to abandon ship. The boat is sinking, but we're on a lifeboat. And we have a life vest, and we're on a lifeboat, and we're not sure if we're going to survive yet, but we survived the ship sinking. I mean, look, quarterback 1, quarterback 2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, tight end 1, left guard, best pass rusher you have. Now Fred Warner is lost for the remainder of the season. It's like, is there any more stuff we could pile on to this season? And yet they're 4-2. They're 3-0 in the division. So, if you just look at the standings, they're actually in really good shape. But when you dive and look into the roster and the current situation of the team, it's a lot scarier.
Yeah. It's the 49ers. We know they're very well coached. We know Kyle Shanahan is a genius and can basically make any quarterback look serviceable at the very least, and has basically revived Mac Jones' career, so that might be a nice trade chip next year. But we're talking about this year, and the 49ers have managed to keep their heads above water so far, like you said, 4-2. But, yeah, we start the show, as always, with the injuries here going into this Sunday Night Football matchup, and you mentioned it. 49ers right now, we're recording this a little bit early because of our schedules, but Fred Warner, we could just start there, because I think that might be the most important injury of the whole season so far, because Fred Warner, I think, has a claim to being the best defensive player in football. I think he's maybe the most important player on the 49ers defense, and that one is huge. It's a massive loss. What are the 49ers plans at linebacker at this point with Fred Warner out for the remainder of the year?
Yeah, it's a scary situation, because you lose Nick Bosa, and obviously that's your best pass rusher, and that's one thing. But you lose Fred Warner. Not only is he your best coverage linebacker, the best coverage linebacker in the league, he's also the guy that's literally getting the defense lined up, calling the plays, adjusting the defense every time the offense uses motion or shifts. He's telling people who to cover, who's got who in the zoo. And you could see it on Sunday against the Buccaneers. He went down, and they didn't know what the hell was going on. There were multiple coverage busts, multiple guys just uncovered, wide open for touchdowns. It was just a crippling blow to the defense. Now, I expect Robert Saleh to have this unit a little more prepared now, obviously, just because going in, they know Fred's not going to be there. But still, just the brain power, let alone the physical ability of Warner on the field, the brain power that you have now lost. Tatum Bethune, his backup's a good player, but he's not Fred Warner. It's going to be a major, major challenge for this defense.
Yeah. And again, I think it speaks to kind of the depth that the 49ers have assembled, that the loss of Nick Bosa wasn't a death sentence for this defense. But it's just starting to stack up. And yeah, it's like, as much as I've been a fan of D. Winters as a guy coming out of the draft that I think has definitely outplayed his draft stock. You mentioned Bethune, someone I haven't seen, but it's just next man up. But it's hard to be next man up when you're talking about first team All-Pro perennially, maybe the best defensive player in football. So it's going to be tough. There might not be a way to get over that loss, but they're going to have to find a way. And that's one thing the 49ers have done a good job with on the offensive side of the ball so far with the wide receiver group. Guys have just been stepping up. As someone who is a huge Ricky Pearsall guy, have Ricky Pearsall on almost all my fantasy teams. I'm certainly conflicted about how much I would like him to play this week, but he's been a bright spot when he's been healthy. Has now missed a couple games. Jawan Jennings is playing, but he's clearly very hurt. Kendrick Bourne has stepped up, but again, that's a step down from the guys you were expecting to have at this point. What's going on with that wide receiver core right now? Because that seems to be where we're monitoring quite a few injuries as well.
Yeah, it's definitely banged up. Ricky Pearsall is going to be checked out this week. There's a chance he could play, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Obviously, we're still waiting on Brandon Ayuk to return after his devastating knee injury last season. So that means it's Jawan Jennings, who admitted last week that he's playing with a high ankle sprain, a low ankle sprain, a shoulder injury, and 5 broken ribs. And Kendrick Bourne, who was off the street, they got from the Patriots for, a song, basically, who's played well in the passing game, but has been terrible in the running game, missing blocks, just missing assignments. Part of the reason the 49ers are the worst rushing team in the NFL. The 49ers, with Christian McCaffrey, are the worst rushing team in the NFL. They can't even run for 3.5 yards a carry this season. It has been pathetic so far. So the offense is not only playing with one hand tied behind their back, they're kind of playing with 2 hands tied behind their back.
Yeah, and it's still remarkable that they've just kind of managed to find their way out of it and continue to win football games. Another major one that I know folks are going to ask about is George Kittle. There's been rumblings that he might be close to returning. Obviously, we're recording this pretty early, so we haven't gotten an official word on whether he'll be activated the practice window or anything like that. But what's your sort of read on where Kittle is in his recovery?
I do think that Kittle has a pretty good chance to go this week. He was eligible to come off IR last week. He didn't do much in practice last week. This week, he's supposed to be pretty much full go. I think the expectation is that he's going to return, which cannot be understated how important that is. One, as a receiving option, because like you said, Kyle's been sort of piecing it together, but now you've got a legitimate scary threat out there that defenses have to account for beyond Christian McCaffrey, which is not only going to improve whoever the quarterback's life is, but also it's going to open things up for Christian McCaffrey and all those other guys. They all become more dangerous because 85 is out on the field and in the ground game as well. They desperately need a tight end that could actually block someone, and they would not be getting back just a tight end that could do that. They'd be getting back the best tight end at that. So the return of George Kittle would be a huge boost for this offense, and they desperately need it.
Yeah. Kittle, we know, somehow underrated as a run blocker. Everybody thinks about his pass blocking or his pass catching, but tremendous run blocker and just a really dynamic threat there. And I think Tongs, I don't even know how you pronounce it. Tonges. Yeah. He's been a nice surprise as a receiver, but like you said, the run blocking has taken a big hit there. So the big one, obviously, quarterback, where Purdy missed games, came back, seemed like maybe he was not ready, is now missed another game, and now Mac Jones is also banged up. Obviously, again, couching this with we haven't got the official word, but what's your sort of read on where these two quarterbacks are and who we might see on Sunday Night Football?
Well, Brock Purdy couldn't participate the last couple of weeks, and Mac Jones was so banged up, he literally was not capable of throwing a football until Friday last week. Had to take a pain injection shot. He's got an oblique injury. Had to take a pain shot just to be able to participate in this game. That is how banged up the Niners are at quarterback. And with Mac, it really hurt last week because he's not a guy in general when he's fully healthy that can really move around a lot back there, extend plays and scramble around. And you really saw it last week against the Buccaneers, especially when they started trailing and needed to pass more. He could not move. He got sacked 6 times in the game. I can't imagine he is feeling good. But there are some fans in San Francisco that are saying, oh, quarterback controversy. And my opinion on the whole thing has been we're never going to get there because neither quarterback is ever going to be fully healthy this year. And so it's literally going to be a week-to-week thing of, is Mac more healthy than Brock this week, or is Brock more healthy than Mac? And whichever guy is the healthiest is going to start. It's not a controversy if one of the guys can't play.
Yeah, exactly. And Mac has obviously been a nice surprise in terms of his level of play. He hasn't held the offense back in any way, I would say, but it still definitely Purdy's job, right? If they were both healthy.
Yes, it's not even close. Number
Yeah.
one, Purdy's better than Mac Jones because he can do everything Mac Jones can do plus extend the play. And the other part of this is just the financial reality of the situation. They just paid Brock Purdy. He's not going anywhere for the next 3 years. That's what you do when you commit to a quarterback. So, yeah, it's all well and good that Max played well. And, of course, that was the plan, right? They didn't sign him to stink. But when Brock is healthy, it is clearly his job, and it should be.
Yeah, I agree there. Kind of a bizarre sort of conversation, in my opinion, but, something that people ask, I guess. But for this, at this point with the Falcons, we're monitoring a few injuries. The biggest one's Jake Matthews, who left the game on Monday Night Football and did not return after halftime. Falcons had to go to their fifth tackle, and Mike Jarrell, who 49ers fans might remember from Seattle. And it was barely passable, but that the Falcons did survive and thankfully had a lead going into halftime. But, so we're waiting to hear on Matthews. Apparently he is day to day. And considering Jake Matthews and what he's known for, which is his NFL leading streak of games started, and I believe he's in the 180s at this point. I believe he's going to play, but probably not going to be healthy. We're obviously waiting to hear more about Darnell Mooney if he's ready to return off of that hamstring injury, and a couple of more minor injuries. Taquan Graham's been activated off IR. He wasn't ready to play this weekend. Could be this week. We'll see. And then monitoring a couple of other guys maybe coming off of IR, like Storm Norton, who's their number 3 tackle that we still haven't seen this year. Jordan Fuller, the safety, who's eligible to come off IR this week, so we'll see. But for the Falcons, it's mostly Caleb McGarry, who's been on IR all year, has been the biggest loss. But Elijah Wilkinson, who they had to pull from guard, move him out to tackle to start week 1, has been okay, which is about the best you can hope for from your 4th offensive tackle. But at this point, I can't think of another team. I mean, the Bucs are kind of in competition, but I think the 49ers are by far, and the Bucs are kind of the two teams that you look at as just being absolutely devastated, and we're not even halfway through the season. So what's been the secret? I mean, how have the 49ers managed to stay afloat and keep their, close to NFC leading record going into week 7?
Well, they've been able to pass the ball better than anybody in the league, which is amazing when you consider all the wide receivers that are down and the quarterback situation. But they have been able to move the ball through the air. I mean, the short answer is coaching. Clearly, Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh are arguably the best head coach defensive coordinator combo in the league. The fact that Kyle can even be in this situation where fans are talking about a quarterback controversy with so many guys injured just speaks to how well he's been able to scheme guys open. I mean, he's getting Kendrick Bourne 100-yard games, for God's sake. 140-yard games, actually. Back-to-back 140-yard games. It has been mostly Kyle Shanahan and Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey has more touches right now than he had in 2023 when he won Offensive Player of the Year. Now, he's not running the ball well at all, but as a receiver, he is absolutely carving teams up. He has had at least 100 yards from scrimmage in every single game this year. He is really carrying most of the offensive load, and they're just piecing it together right now through Kyle Shanahan's kind of genius, quite frankly.
Yeah, and Falcons fans know very well about Kyle Shanahan's genius and, his shortcomings, mostly in the Super Bowl. But, we try not to talk about that game here in Atlanta. But, right now, looking at this matchup, per FanDuel, Falcons are 2.5-point underdogs, 49ers 2.5-point home favorites. Yeah. I mean, what do you think? What do you think about that line? I agree. It does seem a little off to me, but not like massively. But I mean, it seems like the markets really aren't. I mean, they have a lot of respect for San Francisco's ability to win at home, clearly.
I just don't know how the 49ers are going to tackle Bijan Robinson. I don't know how they're going to stop it. Teams have been able to run on the 49ers all year. Teams that aren't even, like Tampa Bay, had no problem running on the 49ers last week, and they didn't even have Bucky Irving. Now Fred Warner is going to be out. There are some good players on the 49ers defensive line, some young players, Mykel Williams, Alfred Collins, CJ West, 3 rookies who have flashed at times, but they've also had, the rookie mistakes and the rookie just learning periods. And I just don't know how the 49ers consistently are going to be able to stop Robinson, and they can't rush the passer at all. The Niners have set an NFL record for the most consecutive games without an interception. I believe it's at 12 or 13 off the top of my head. They don't have an interception this year because they can't get pressure on quarterbacks. And if you can't get pressure on the quarterback, he's not just going to throw it to the other team. So you can't stop the run. You can't get pressure on the quarterback. They've gotten some fumbles, but a lot of those were caused by Fred Warner, who, again, is no longer in the lineup. So to me, it's a very scary situation. The Niners are going to have to win by protecting the football. They're going to have to win on special teams, which just special teams is not really that great. And they're going to have to win by stealing possessions, which, to his credit, Kyle Shanahan's been a little more willing to do by going for it on fourth down more often. They're going to have to do it even more now because their defense can't stop anybody.
Right. And that's just such a bizarre place to be for the 49ers, who I think have frequently had one of the NFL's elite defenses. Injuries have a lot to do with it. There's no doubt about it. But like, I know the secondary in particular was a problem spot coming into the year. There was some question. Obviously, Diamador Lenore is a guy that has really played up to, his contract, but some more injuries there. And so what do you think that the biggest issue is right now? Where would you attack this 49ers defense if you were Atlanta? Is it just sort of bludgeon with Bijan and Algier as much as possible, or should they try to the passing attack?
Definitely you can attack with the running game. I think you can attack over the middle of the field now with Warner being gone, and the safeties for the 49ers have been a big issue. They have Marquise Siegel as a rookie this year who has been phenomenal against the run, like hits hard, is lightning fast, but he is extremely vulnerable in coverage. They got Malik Mustafa Beck, who was a rookie last season, who played really well, but he's coming off an ACL repair. He's just sort of getting in the flow of things. And their other safety, Jason Pinnock, is just a guy, and he's just kind of just been there. Not horrible, but not really anything special either. So there's definite vulnerability down the middle of the field, whether it's short, intermediate, or deep for the 49ers.
Yeah, so that, and the Falcons, I think, are really realizing that they're a run-first team. I think it surprised some people with that they have Michael Penix and Drake London, but they're down bodies in the wide receiver room. They recently elected to actually bench Ray McLeod and just go to a 12 base offense, which has worked really well for the run game. But it kind of came to a head last week where Drake London obviously had 150 yards by halftime and no other receiver caught a pass for the Falcons against. So, and Kyle Pitts is a factor. He's definitely taken on a larger role. In a lot of ways, Bijan has kind of become their de facto slot receiver. So they're definitely going to go that route. The passing game is definitely going to funnel through Drake London. And we'll see if Mooney's close to returning. He's kind of the dynamic presence in the passing game that they've just kind of lacked so far this year. But I agree with you. I think the run game is what they're going to lean on in this one. Still giving a lot of respect to the 49ers, even though the run defense has not been where you're expecting it to be, and probably hoping that without Fred Warner in there, it's going to be a long day for that 49ers defense. And obviously they don't want the 49ers to hold the ball for any extended period of time. So that could work in their favor as well. But, flipping the script here for the 49ers offense, I think it's managed to really survive injuries so far. And obviously if they can get George Kittle and Ricky Pearsall back, the passing game is probably going to be pretty effective. But somehow the Falcons have the NFL's #1 pass defense and total yardage defense.
How?
I don't. Jeff Ulbrich, well, part of it, I think, is that Jimmy Lake was a disastrous hire who more or less tanked the defense with his scheme that I don't think the players bought into at all. So a lot of the same guys are here from last year that are just being used more effectively. I think Jeff Ulbrich has put in a scheme that is very easy to understand. It's allowed them to get all their rookies on the field. All the young guys that didn't play last year are playing now. And the Falcons have really just taken to this relatively simple, aggressive scheme and are playing great football in it. They've managed to survive a few injuries. Terrell missed almost the entire season. He only played the first week 1 and then the first half of week 2. Came back last week, looked good again. But then their rookie slot corner was out, and D. Alford had to come in, had an interception and a sack, and looked great. So they've managed to weather the storm there. They've gotten great play out of Divine Diablo, who, kind of came out of nowhere as a guy, just a guy on the Raiders. And Jeff Ulbrich is like, yep, that's the linebacker I like. And they've just been very effective at generating pressure as a relentless blitzing team. They blitzed Josh Allen more than he's seen since 2021, and it actually worked. So it seems a little crazy to me the way that Ulbrich is running this defense and how aggressive they are, but they're causing havoc. Obviously, if Mac Jones is hobbled or Brock Purdy's hobbled, that could be an issue. But I'm not, how do you think the 49ers, what's their best path to going up against a somehow formidable Falcons defense?
Well, I do wonder, with Robert Saleh there, his time with Olbrich, maybe they have some sort of insight. I don't know. That could help. The Niners are going to want to control the ball, like you said. They can't run the ball, so they do a lot of short passing. Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, really, when Brock was healthy, he was doing it too. Now, he was only healthy for half of the first game of the season. But it was drop back to pass and get the ball the hell out of your hands and get it fast, whether it's to the wide receivers or to the check down, whatever it is. But Mac, especially since he started the majority of the games, has done a good job of just staying ahead of the chains. Even though they can't run the ball, if it's 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1, you only need 2 yards. A 2-yard gain looks a lot better when it's getting you a first down. And so because they've been able to stay ahead of the chains for the most part, they've been able to consistently move the ball. They are going for it more on 4th down, like I said. So that helps them control time of possession as well. And they just sort of matriculate the ball down the field. The big problem area for San Francisco is once they get to the red zone, they can move it between the 20s fairly easily. When they get to the red zone, because they cannot run, the drives grind to a halt. And so that is really going to be the defining area of the field in this game is what do the 49ers do when they get to the 20s? They'll get there. But when they get there, can they get 7 instead of 3? Most of the time, they've been getting 3 this year.
Yeah, it's been a similar issue for the Falcons. The last 2 games, it's been a lot better. But yeah, the first 3 games of the year, the Falcons in the red zone were having similar issues. But it was the opposite. They weren't really throwing the ball effectively in the short area, and teams were just kind of loading up to stop the run game. That has gotten better, and they've figured out some more wrinkles to that. But yeah, similar red zone issues here in Atlanta. So it may come down in this one to who's able to punch the ball in when they get down there. And can the Falcons continue their upswing? Can the 49ers survive the injuries? This is an interesting one. I think it has obviously the potential to be an exciting game. I think both of these teams typically deliver in prime time, which is a weird thing to say as a Falcons fan after years of Arthur Smith just being kind of a speed bump on prime time. But if you want to give Raheem Morris anything, it's that the Falcons have consistently delivered entertaining football in prime time over the last couple seasons here. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a really intriguing game. I'm really interested to see, obviously, who starts at quarterback. But, who if the 49ers can actually get some positive injury news here with George Kittle and Ricky Pearsall and some of these guys. And it may just come down to Bijan Robinson. He was the difference last week as well as someone who just kind of is capable of taking over a game. And, maybe Christian McCaffrey this week is a little bit, maybe I shouldn't have shared all my secrets with Bijan this offseason since we're playing. But I think that's kind of an underrated thing is Bijan working out with McCaffrey this offseason and getting, because he looks like him. He looks like a young Christian McCaffrey in this Falcons offense. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think this could be one of the games of the week.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a close game. It'll probably come down to the end. I think all the coaching ties are really fascinating, right? You've got Olbrich, who was a former 49er, worked under Robert Saleh in New York. You've got Raheem Morris and Kyle Shanahan who work together. Kyle loves Raheem Morris. They have so much respect for one another, but obviously they also know each other very well. So again, I think this is going to be fascinating for a lot of reasons. I think that it'll come down to the final possessions and whoever does better in the red zone, quite frankly, because look, 7 is more than 3. I keep saying it, like Kyle loves to trot out the field goal kicker on 4th down. And it's just like, I always say, field goals are failures, except in the rarest of circumstances, field goals are failures. And you can kick a whole bunch of them, but the other team needs to score 1 touchdown. And all of a sudden you need 3 field goals to take the lead. Like, you can't do it, man. So you got to be willing to risk it. And if you're not willing to risk it and you settle for field goals because of the state of the defense, the 49ers are not going to win.
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing for the Falcons, and the Falcons can't trust their kicking game either. They had a field goal blocked last on Monday Night Football, but that was not going to make it either way. That was an ugly kick. It could be okay because Parker Romo has perfect game, and then he has game where he misses every kick, and then he has another perfect. So if this week should be the perfect game, so maybe they can just stick with him for one more week. But the kicking game has been a mess. Younghoe Koo, obviously.
He was a good kicker.
He changed his kicking. I think it was 2 years ago, and Trayshawn, my co-host Trayshawn Diaz, looked into it a lot more. But essentially, he changed his stance because he wanted to be able to get more distance on the kick. That was kind of the one hole in his game, was that his range kind of topped out at like 55 to 58. Anything beyond that wasn't really achievable, and I think he was feeling pressure from all these other guys kicking 60 yards like it's nothing. And I don't think I think it threw him off. It required a lot more precision from the way he lined up, and it didn't work out. And, I think it shattered his confidence. And kicking, as we know, is one of the most intense psychological positions in sports. And I think it ended his career. And I think it's tragic because he did it to improve himself, and it just ended up, messing things up. But now the Falcons are kind of in kicking purgatory, and that's never. I know you know a lot about that, so
I do. I'm happy to be out of it. Be honest. Do you say that the Parker Roma, like, that's the Jake Moody? That was the Jake Moody roller coaster, man. 27-yard field goal, clang off the upright in week 1. Like, but then he could make a 57-yarder in the Super Bowl, the longest field goal ever made in the Super Bowl at the time it was kicked. He made multiple kicks with less than 2 minutes remaining in the game to give the 49ers the lead or tie the score. Like, it made no sense. But kicker purgatory is never a good place to be. I always say kickers are like dating, right? It's better to give 20 people a chance than it is to give the wrong person 20 chances. If you got a kicker that sucks, get him out of there. Get somebody. Don't wait and try to ride out the stuff. Nope, there's too many out there. Just bring in somebody new.
Yeah. So I imagine the fact this we'll see if they're going to stick with Parker Romo this week, or if they're going to go. I think they have Ben Sauls on the practice squad, as well as an international, a German kicker, Lenny Krieg, who I think they're probably saying needs more time, but we will see. The kicking game could be critical in this one for the Falcons. So hopefully it won't come down to a kick, because I will be sweating intensely if that does happen. But how you feeling about the score in this one? I think I agree with you. I think this is going to be a close game.
It's very hard to predict, because if Pearsall is back and Kittle is back, even if it is Mac Jones, I still think that bodes well for the 49ers offense. I mean, they have been stitching this thing together. So I almost want to give you 2. If they can get those 2 guys, I could see them scoring 27 points in the game. Even though I respect the Falcons defense, I just think that Kyle is really cooking this year in terms of play calling. And when you get some better talent on the field, you're going to get better results. Now, if those guys aren't on the field and it's, Mac Jones and George Kittle and Kendrick Bourne, then maybe you're looking at 19, 23, if at most, I would think, unless something crazy happens. So either way, I think Atlanta's scoring more. That's the problem. I think the Falcons are going to win this game. I think the Falcons are going to score, I would say, at least 28 points. So I'm picking Atlanta to win this one. I'll say 28-17.
Yeah, it was pretty similar. What I was thinking 27-24 Atlanta, but yeah, I'm nervous about Pearsall. I feel conflicted, obviously, because of my fantasy teams, because I love Pearsall. I think he's a great player. Love him. And Kittle obviously is great too. So we'll see what the 49ers look like going into this one. I do agree. I think the loss of Fred Warner might finally be sort of the last Jenga piece, right? That just causes the whole tower to fall. He's just so good. It makes me so sad, because I can count on like one hand maybe the defensive players I liked watching more than Fred Warner. He's just special guy. Like, just teach tape at linebacker every single week. It hurts my soul that we don't get to watch him play football again this year. But Rob, thank you so much for making the time, guys. He's Rob Guerrera at Stats on Fire. Please let the people know all about what you're doing and where they can find your stuff.
Sure. So I run the 49ers Gold Standard Podcast Network. We do live shows every single day, weekday, I should say. We go live after the games, after breaking news. Just search 49ers Gold Standard wherever you get your audio pods, or on YouTube. We pop right up. I always like to say, if you give us a chance, you will come back.
Yeah, I think you will. If you guys want to see their perspective, they're going to have content on this game coming all week. So check that out for sure. And of course, I'm Kevin Knight at Falcon. Kevin, thanks everyone for joining us here on Dirty Birds and Brews, presented by FanDuel. If you haven't yet liked and subscribed, please do that. It helps us out in a big way. Leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. If you want to support the show, you can do so by doing the YouTube channel memberships or checking us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Falcoholic Live. We will be back after Sunday Night Football for our own post-game show. So you can check us out there. And then, of course, we'll be going into Week 8 against the Dolphins, where hopefully things will calm down a little bit for the Falcons after this Buffalo 49ers stretch here. So I hope that maybe we could take a little sweat off the brow after these two tough opponents. But, Rob, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time here on Dirty Birds and Brews. Have a great day, folks.